Alright, till death info, we're back with part 2 of my joints. So, my number one thing about sex is, my paper just fell on the floor, I don't remember. It's mental. Sex is mental. I believe that sex is more mental than physical. And a lot of times people disagree with me. But I'm like, you'll have men who have wet dreams. You know what I'm saying? Who can have an orgasm. Nobody's touching them. It's just what's going on in their mind. And they're in such a deep place mentally that they're able to have an orgasm. I assume women can do the same thing. So, okay. But I'm just saying that sex is more mental. And it's really more so about your mind. And I think we put so much emphasis on the physical. We put so much emphasis on what does he or she look like? How is he big? Is he, what is it? And I just think if you're mentally in a place where you kind of know yourself, you're gonna enjoy sex regardless. You know what I'm saying? You're going to, but it's really a mental place where you have to be able to take yourself. And I think a lot of people, which goes into my number 2 joint, is they're inhibited by a lot of things. Not just women, but men. That are inhibited by certain things. That it may be a situation where a lot of women from childhood have been taught don't have sex and don't be nasty, don't do these things.
See, I call that the good girl syndrome.
Okay.
It's like you spend all this time trying to be a good girl. You don't want to have this reputation of being, slutty or whatever. Then you get in your marriage and then your husband wants you swinging from chandeliers and you're like, wait a minute. This is not what I signed up for.
Right.
And so it's very hard I agree with you, it's very hard to make that mental transition from sex is okay now because I'm married.
Right.
And, the marriage bed is undefiled. So whatever me and my husband agree to, we can handle our business.
Right.
But I think that transition is very hard.
Right.
From not having sex to have all the sex you want. Right. And do whatever you want.
Right. And then the last piece is people knowing their turn ons. I think you have to know what turns you on. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people don't know. So we're talking about sex is more mental, people's inhibitions, and their turn ons. Because I believe what happens in a lot of time in marriages is you rarely find those couples who just click like that.
Yeah.
Because usually with men, truth be told, we're a lot more smutty than women. So what happens is a lot of times, and I've heard this from men all over, young and old, that a lot of the things that turn them on turn their wife off.
Yeah.
So now you're at a wall because it's like, well, do this. Oh my God, that's disgusting. What's wrong with you? And it's like, there's only so many times a woman can tell a man you're disgusting. What's wrong with you? Until he just starts shutting down.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it's like you wanting to talk, and I'm like, oh my God, when do you ever shut up? What's wrong with you? How long is it gonna be until you just be like,
channeling my husband?
How long is it gonna be until you just shut down?
Yeah.
So that's what I think happens is that we have to get to a place where we have to have open and honest conversations with our spouses. What do you like? What turns you on?
Yeah.
And why does it turn you on? And the thing
and we can't judge.
Right. It's not.
I think
right.
we can't.
Yeah,
judge.
It can't be. Oh my God, that's nasty. Or that's disgusting. Or I knew something was wrong with your mother. No. It has to just be like this is what it is.
As women, I think we have to understand the difference between porn,
right,
and porn.
What's the difference between porn and porn?
There's soft porn and there's hardcore porn. Like most women could probably deal with, if this is what you choose to have in your marriage. Or if you want to watch this with your husband. Most women could probably deal with a little softcore porn.
But not the hardcore.
But all that hardcore stuff, that is disgusting.
But then, like I said, there are some women out there who love the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I just think that a lot of times it's going to be hard pressed to find a couple that just click.
Yeah,
that's like, I love hardcore porn, you love hardcore porn. I love dressing up like a police officer, you love it when I dress up like a
It works.
Yeah, and it just works. It's one of those things where just like anything else in life, it's gonna take work.
Yeah.
And I think we just assume that marriage and sex just miraculously comes perfectly, and it just happens. And it has to be a situation where you have those conversations, and it's, maybe if your husband wants 5 disgusting things, maybe you agree to 2. I don't know, but there has to be a compromise. Because I just feel like with women, it's like a man will say, I want this, and it's like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
We can't do that with y'all. I wish I could come home and just be like, nope, not talking to you. And I could just walk away. And it's okay. Like, because when y'all say no, it's like, we're like, okay. Like,
you gotta accept it.
With y'all, it's like, we say no, we're in the doghouse. And that's a whole nother topic. I'm tired of it. Why is it that men are the only people who can end up in the doghouse?
No, women are in the doghouse. No, y'all get attitudinal.
Nah, we men be feeling like, yo, we in trouble. Like, you get a bunch of married men together, it's like, who's in trouble? Oh, you in trouble? No, all right. Married women don't get together, like, who's on punishment? Who can't stay out too late?
That's probably
so
true.
It's just like, again, it goes back, and it's not fair. We're just talking about things being fair, and that it's not fair that even if I'm not a talkative person, I have to try to be talkative. You know, to make you happy. It's not fair that men always have to kind of give, and then women are just like, nope, not doing that. That's not gonna happen.
No, well, okay. Well,
and I'm not saying all women. I'm just saying,
things.
but my thing is this.
I think we do our share of taking, you know, whatever from you guys.
Okay, I'm just saying that when it comes time to talk about the turn-ons, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, the things.
It's a hard conversation to have.
It's a hard conversation to have, and I'm sure. And again, I'm not saying that any of these things are easy and they all take time. I'm just saying that if you want to keep your marriage, if you want to make your husband or you want to make your wife happy, you are going to have to bend.
And you got to be flexible.
Have to bend. Yeah. And if I feel like a lot of times men and women in the bedroom may not want to bend in certain places. And it's just like, if this is something that turns your wife on, I think you got to try to find a way to do it.
And another thing too, like typically women are going to be the less experienced in the bedroom because, you know, men start a bit earlier than women. I think you have to be patient with your wife, and, you know, I don't see why. To me, I would think, and maybe Kill, you can speak on this, I would think it would be a joy to teach your wife, you know, things that are specific to your relationship. You know, but for some men, you know, when I do
it goes back, I just think
it's horrible. They don't want to do it
because it's all opposites. But I don't want to say curse. I think it feels like a curse. But I think because every marriage, for the most part, seems like that, God must want it that way for a woman. So, you know, because there are too many times you're in a room with a whole bunch of couples and you are much more compatible with
somebody else.
But you're not with them.
Yeah,
you know, so it has to just be, I've just given up and just said, you know what? It must be something that God wants us to learn. God wants us to bend from each other. Yeah. But it's like we're not willing to. So, yeah, you know, like, I would think, like you said, that would be dope. Like, let me school you. Like, let me pioneer you and teach you.
And this is the Kilpatrick way, or, you know.
For some men, it's like, I want you to already know what you're doing when you come in here.
Some men want you to come to the table.
You do too many tricks too soon, and they're like, whoa, wait a second.
Where you learn all that at?
So it's different things for different people, but that's why these conversations have to be had about, you know, what's going on. We're going to take another break and be back with the third installment of our sex talk. We keep talking about these things. TillDeathInfo.com.